Therapist of Buddhist in You, the podcast that explores the intersection of Buddhism, psychology, spirituality, and personal growth. In each episode, we delve deep into topics that can enhance your well-being and bring clarity to life complexities. Today's episode holds a unique promise. It addresses a common fix many of us seek, finding peace and wisdom amidst life's challenges. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the chaos of daily life, grappling with stress, or searching for profound insights to guide your path, if so, this episode is a must listen. We'll journey into the world of Buddhist wisdom, known as Panna, and reveal how it can be a transformative force in your life. Discover how the ancient principles of Buddhism align with modern therapeutic approaches and how you can harness the wisdom to navigate the intricacies of your mind and emotions. But that's not all. We'll also provide actionable insights and practical tools you can apply in your daily life, fostering self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. So whether you're seeking inner peace, personal growth, or simply a deeper understanding of yourself, this episode holds the key to a more enlightening and fulfilling experience. Tune in and we embark on this transformative journey with us. So, let's do it again, shall we?
Let's do it.
And I just want to say, as this is our first episode in October, we had a really fun time with our 4-week series during September, our National Recovery Awareness Month. And our first episode in September, we talked about Recovery Awareness Foundation and just on how we unveiled hope. And it's about not just substance use, but about mental health. In week 2, we talked to Bob Swanson, a suicide loss survivor, and his advocacy helping those with mental illnesses and suicide prevention. Week 3, we talked about the family recovery and the family's recovery approach. And then last week, our 4th episode, we talked about just everything addiction treatment and what to look for in a treatment facility with Sam Bierman. And it was certainly rewarding for us, and I really had a good time doing that 4-part series. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a lot of good stuff. Very eventful. I'm glad we did that series.
Yeah, it was rewarding, and it's certainly one way that I felt like, we've got this platform to highlight things and give back in different ways. And one of our subtitles for our podcast is a collective solution to health and wellness, and really highlighting a bunch of different aspects of Recovery Awareness Month. I'm really proud of it. So if you guys got any feedback for us, and like we always say, if you like what you hear, share, because that's collectively we can help give them to you guys and you share it with others. So this week, understanding Buddhist wisdom. I'm glad that we get to highlight more of the Buddhist perspective as a focal point, specifically Panna, if I'm pronouncing that right. In terms of wisdom as a therapist, I feel like I often help clients understand the nature of their thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Is that similar to the heart of Panna?
Yeah, this will be an interesting topic, and I'm excited about this. But yeah, I guess to begin with, I would say so, in terms of like gaining clarity, gaining insight, seeing the truth of our own personality, nature of things. So penetrating into the deep, true nature of the way things are. So I would say that is the parallel if the therapist helps the client see, the truth.
That is my intention. That is my hope. One of them. One of my clients have their own goals, but that's certainly one of them, to see the true reality and insight of things. I mean, I often, the pivotal role of wisdom, I think when the outsiders see Buddhist journey, they see wisdom playing an important role. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we can revisit what we've already talked about, which is Panna. It's kind of also interesting to call it Buddhist Panna, because if anything at all, wisdom does not have any kind of ownership. Truth does not have any kind of ownership. The wisdom is the wisdom. but it is specific to the Eightfold Path. So I understand the intention behind calling that to be a Buddhist wisdom. But it's one of the categories, because there are 3 categories in the Eightfold Path. And the 3 categories are morality, concentration, and the wisdom. And the wisdom is comprised of 2 factors. One is right view, and then the other one is right intention. So right view specifically is referring to the Four Noble Truths. That's where it comes from. But like, I guess we don't, I don't know, I want this podcast as usual. I want it to be as useful as possible. So I think there's genius in simplicity. So my intention is to keep things as simple as possible, because especially from the scholastic point of view, Buddhism can be too complex. If we look at the root of this word, the suttas, the discourses, all the references, but I want to focus more on instead of the intellectual, but more on the experiential knowledge or experience of the word wisdom. So so that's my intention, because I think in layman terms, wisdom is pretty much the intelligence or the discernment to know what is right and what is wrong, and having that wisdom to know the difference, which is also a famous 12-step or prayer that is used a lot in 12-step of serenity prayer, talks about wisdom.
So let's talk on wisdom as like you're doing. When I think that I have wisdom in my life, I have clarity. I can have a vision that gives me guidance towards a healthier way of living. I have clarity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the analogy that I've heard of, I don't know if it's original to original Buddhist discourse, but I have this textbook that my aunt, who actually is a person who introduced me to Buddhism at a very young age, she gave me this book, which is actually published by the religious or the Ministry of Religion of Burma. And she gave this book to me a long time ago, and it has everything that is about Buddhism, all the essentials. And there's a section about Panya, wisdom. And it uses analogy of the best way to, equate, or the best way to think about wisdom is light. Wisdom is compared to light, that it is something that enlighten, or if there is darkness, wisdom is something that shines into the darkness to see things. So it kind of reminds me of that as you use the word clarity or vision,
I'm putting on my therapist lens here. It's one of the key reasons people may come to therapy, that they need guidance or clarity on a challenge, an issue, a discomfort, whatever it might be, and having a therapist help them. I always say it's my job as a therapist to help themselves. And that's wisdom, and that's clarity, and that's that light. That in 12-step, they talk about the spiritual experience, and sometimes it's of that educational variety or that aha moment. And it's that light bulb moment of clarity and realization. And it's that insight to lead a healthier life, whether it's through coping skills or changes in their life. So I think we got a good idea of what we mean by wisdom. What about wisdom and mindfulness? How do they interact in your world, in your lens? Hey listeners, we've got something extraordinary to share, a chance to reshape your journey no matter where you are. You're familiar with Zalmal's insights on our podcast, but there's more. Through the Recovery Collective, he offers life, mindfulness, recovery coaching, and meditation groups guiding you toward a fulfilled and mindful existence, no matter your location. Zal's journey from a Burmese Buddhist novice to a skilled practitioner equips him with timeless wisdom and contemporary strategies. Whether you're navigating life's shifts, seeking clarity, or pursuing self-awareness, Zal's coaching serves as a compass guiding you toward success. The best part? Zal's approach centers on your growth and empowerment. He equips you with tools to tap into your inner strengths for continuous evolution no matter where you are. Ready to take that next step in your personal growth journey? Connect with Zalmal and the Recovery Collective at 240-813-8135 from anywhere in the world. Investigating in your journey reaps immeasurable rewards. Let Zal Mal guide you toward resilience, clarity, and empowerment, no matter where life finds you. Now, let's transition back into our conversation. Stay tuned, stay curious, and keep your journey growing.
Yeah. So I guess if we can, I'm glad you're bringing up the thing about mindfulness, because, wisdom can be very theoretical, very abstract, but like, how do we practice it? How do we make it accessible? And practicing mindfulness can be a way of practicing wisdom. But to connect the two, I don't know. I guess we can unpack wisdom a little bit too before connecting that with mindfulness. There's, I guess, in our Buddhist language or Burmese language, there are two kinds of wisdom, which is in Buddhist is ati pinya. Ati means to know, so like the wisdom of knowledge, like gaining information to know things as much as possible. There is a wisdom in it, having information, but also there is nya pinya, which is more to do with the intelligence, or I guess it's more precise to say like the discernment between what is skillful and what is not skillful, or what is harmful and what is not harmful, more of an intuitive wisdom. So to connect that with mindfulness is that like developing skillful thoughts and skillful actions, because that's also another definition or another original meaning of mindfulness in Buddhist term, instead of mindfulness in the Western term, because mindfulness is remembering to be able to bring to mind about the possibility of ending suffering in this lifetime. So if we think about that mindfulness that way, wisdom fits so well. Is that, okay, here's the situation going on, but what is it that I can develop here that will help me develop more skillful thoughts and skillful actions, which will build me towards development of wisdom. I don't know if that was too complex of thoughts that I just laid out there.
Well, and mindfulness can happen through a meditation. Another form of mindfulness is, I'm just coming from a therapist lens, right? So when you say that, I think of, well, what do I do in my sessions? I hope someone has a mindful perspective when it comes to their thoughts, their actions, their behaviors, and context to what's going on in their world, in their mind, and their emotions, and their body. And with that mindfulness, they can gain more skills. And the way you said it was actions, or I say it as behaviors. And our certain actions and behaviors can lead to change. It can lead to an awareness. So I see mindfulness, yes, as this Buddhist way of thinking or being, but nurturing mindfulness or awareness can lead to a different skill set if we're not in denial or ignoring things in our life. So yeah, it's still a form of mindfulness, isn't it? Being aware of what's happening. And as a therapist, these techniques can enhance self-awareness, emotional regulation, developing this wisdom of our inner experiences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And I'm glad you're mentioning about that, because that is related to meditation too, because that's also why Eightfold Path is not, each factor or each category is not independent. There is that interconnectedness that about right concentration, right mindfulness, they all contribute each other towards wisdom as well. So like what you're describing is about awareness, so when I, in the Buddhist world, like when I do something that is harmful, it usually originates in the fact that my awareness is limited.
Yes.
Like there is a sense of lack of wisdom, lack of some kind of ignorance, not knowing. So, but with the mindfulness and with the meditation is that it's not discovering something new, but it's becoming aware of what's already there. And I think that's also really worth emphasizing that about wisdom, is that it's not something synthetic, like that I have to create and produce and then come up. But it's more about sitting and waiting and watching, and then the awareness gives you that insight of, okay, this is what is the right thing to do in this situation.
Yeah, and having that wisdom that is there, you said it's not discovering. I agree. It's uncovering. So it's not that it was never there. It's having that mindfulness, the awareness, and whether it's conscious or subconscious ignorance or an unhealthy coping skill is another way to say it. We get to uncover this wisdom or this reality and this power that's within to make, whether it's a change or peace or deal with suffering. And it's all through this wisdom that we have within.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
yeah, I think
go
to
ahead.
be, okay. Oh yeah, I was going to say, like, to be more, make it more actionable and to make it more practical.
Good.
I'm glad that you're bringing up stuff from, therapy sessions and therapist point of view. I think it will also be helpful to kind of think about how wisdom can occur, like through what kind of actions,
Good. That's where I was going. So this is a beautiful
Oh,
thing.
there you go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some practical tips for our listeners to cultivate this wisdom and their daily lives. What comes to mind for you?
Well, my favorite go-to, now it is favorite, but it used to be my least favorite go-to when I was a teenager and in my deep addiction, is always the 5 precept, the morality, the 5 precepts of maintaining the right action. It's always a good start, without questioning, without trying to, it's probably a good thing to drink, or it's not a good thing to drink, like kind of debating, should I steal, should I not steal, should I kill, should I not kill, killing is good, but without debating anything, but really trusting the value of these actions, and then doing that can be a good start, or it has been a good start for me in my experience, because what's right and wrong, or at least what's harmful and what's not harmful, is already laid out through that in my experience.
That seems so logical, but it's the exact same perspective that I have. It's the action. So whether we are doing this mindfulness exercise or meditating or sitting with me or your therapist in session, and you have this realization, and what I'm going to do is encourage the client to apply that insight gained in therapy to their daily lives. Right? If and I come from a athletic training, exercise science background, that if my knee hurts, maybe I should walk a different way. If I have a headache, maybe the action is I need more sleep, or I need more water, and I need to hydrate myself. So in some ways, it's so simple. It's probably frustrating for some, but I agree, to develop wisdom into my daily life, to cultivate wisdom into my daily life. If I uncover it and realize it and have that light bulb, follow it with action.
And as I mentioned earlier too, the wisdom category is comprised of 2 factors in terms of Eightfold Path. And one of the factor that is comprised of is right intention, or some people translate it as right thinking or right thought. And what you're saying, or what we're talking about now, kind of reminds me of that too, is that when we think about right intention, there are 3 ways, or 3 requisites, or 3 characteristics of the right intention. Is that an intention that is, that is goodwill, like something that is loving and kind, and also intention of harmlessness, something that doesn't create any kind of harm, physical, mental, emotional harm, since we're talking about actions, and also the intention of like renunciation, which is a translation, but like renunciation is also the giving up of a desire. I think in 12-step terms, people talk about first thought wrong, and second or the third or even the 5th thought is right, So like renunciation is also that, like practicing wisdom can be that, okay, I am really angry right now and I want to throw stuff, or yell, but let me renounce that, renounce the desire, and then refrain. And that's also another way of practicing wisdom as well.
So I'll get my spin on it. right intention, it's cultivating positive intentions. Having this positive and constructive intentions in life can be everything. We talk about this a lot on a lot of our episodes. Where the energy goes, the energy flows. This may involve setting intentions for personal growth, healing, well-being. I worked at a therapeutic practice years ago where in the public bathroom there was a post-it note. People could write little notes on it and put it on the mirror in this therapy building. And it was just positive things that people put on the mirror. And when you wash your hands, you go to the bathroom, you see all this positive intention and energy. And it was so covered up, you couldn't see a reflection, which was, to me, a beautiful thing. It was just the beauty of positive intention as they walk out of that bathroom, whether it's back into their daily lives, work, into their therapy session. And I often encourage people to do that at their houses. Just put some positive intentions, whether it's you're worth it, I am worthy, I am loved, I deserve to be happy, whatever it is, cultivating and putting that positive intention and that energy and healing and well-being can be huge. Another way my mind goes in terms of right thinking or right thought or right intention is challenging those negative thought patterns. Because we can see this process, if that is so healthy when we cultivate positive intentions, well, we should probably challenge those negative thought patterns that are trying to destroy us, that are trying to make us feel that darkness and fuel that internal critic. What do you think?
Yeah, that's really good. And that's very empowering that that we have access to wisdom, And I don't know, I like that idea of, because in our, Pali has become part of Burmese language so much that there are some words that we've loaned or that we make it to be Burmese. And pinya is one of them, which is actually the meaning nowadays in Burmese culture. Pinya is education. People talk about pinyaye. So like going to the high school, really good high school, really good college, education is very valued. But then that kind of defeats the purpose, right? Because if I think about wisdom, it's not like only if I go to an Ivy League school, I'll have wisdom,
Interesting.
Like it's not about, but it's something that we have access to, Like it doesn't matter, but the more truthful and the more genuine we are to go deeper within, we have the right, or we are, I don't know, I can't think of a word, like we deserve, we're worthy of wisdom. That's already there.
Yeah, the wisdom to realize we are worthy. To me, right intention relates to aligning with our own intentions and our personal values and our own ethical principles. What other people's personal values and principles are. I love identifying what someone who's sitting with me, what is their intention? What are their personal values and ethical principles? Not what other people tell us it could be or should be, but when you can identify what it is for you and then back it up with positive intentions and aligning with your own values and your own ethical principles, you're going to feel good about yourself and having a more meaningful and personal life.
Yeah.
That's wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, I like thinking about, I guess there's also, I don't know if it's kind of synonymous, because it's hard to talk about wisdom without talking about truth as well. Wisdom in Buddhist terms is like seeing the true nature of things, like seeing the truth, which to me, truth means something that is like something that is integrity, harmony, like something that doesn't contradict, is truthful, as in like it stays true to itself, like almost to the point of like a faith, like faithfulness, loyalty, all these words come to mind. But like it's also what you're saying too, is that when I really stay in tune with my integrity, like there's wisdom in it, that it's not about being right or wrong or proving somebody wrong, but it's more about what is true here, and there's so much peace and freedom in it. And that's also where I have seen in my own life, and also in recovery community too, people who are the most happy, the people who are serene and spiritual, are not like saints, they're the ones who know their limitations and their strength, and being okay with that and then working on them. And there's a sense of connectedness that they're not better, they're not worse, but they're one of the many. And I think there's also wisdom in that too, in that humility aspect.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel Buddhism promotes compassion, empathy, and non-harming of these kind of principles. Well, often in therapy, I want to help people improve communication, resolve conflicts, foster healthier relationships, and that connectedness and that compassion and that empathy. I think there's just so much interrelation connectedness with all of it.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ready to go a little deeper, maybe a little technical as well, but maybe you can help me to keep things simple again.
Well, take us there. I'll do what I can.
Okay. Because the other part, there's the particular, I don't know the translation, but people translate it as insight, right? Which is the word Vipassana, which is also part of the path, that it is a wisdom. There's a Vipassana wisdom, which is an insight that is being gained through the Eightfold Path, or through this path of uncovering, or spiritual path. Is that insight has specifically had to do with seeing the true nature of things. And it specifically talks about the three characteristics of existence. So wisdom, not only, the right view, the wisdom of the right view is seeing the Four Noble Truths, but there is also that seeing the three characteristics of existence, which we've talked about before too. But I think there are two of them that is more relatable, but one of them is kind of a really foreign, ungraspable concept for Western society, I guess. But we can first focus about the first two, is the idea of impermanence and the idea of unsatisfactoriness. There's also wisdom in seeing that, which I wanted to bring that up because in terms of practical action, but specifically using a tool in a meditation practice can be very helpful, using these three characteristics, which is also what I was taught in my earlier practices of meditation, to meditate or to practice these three things that we observe in our thoughts, in our bodies, and in everything. There's that three characteristics of nature, of things.
Cool. Give us the three characteristics again.
So anicca, dukkha, anatta. So anicca is impermanence, that things are always changing. Nothing stay stable. There's no stability. It's just an illusion. Things are always being created, being destroyed. And it's a very transient world. And the second characteristic is dukkha, which is the first noble truth as well, that things are always stressful, unsatisfactory. There's always, life is problematic, there is no perfection or suffering, that's dukkha. And then the third one is the anatta, which is what I was referring to as something that is hard to understand, but it's the concept of non-self, the absence of self, which is that, nothing is personal. There's an impersonality nature of things. When I'm aging, it's not like the universe is that, the universe, I want Zod to be old, just him, like I want him to suffer from old age and just him, no one else. That's the idea of atta, if I hold on to an idea of self, I take it too personally when I get old, when I get sick, when I go through loss. This is happening to me. But the wisdom is knowing that nothing is really personal.
So my takeaway from that is relating it to wisdom. Wisdom helps me maintain equanimity during life's challenges. It reminds me that all things are impermanent, including difficulties. And having that awareness and that reality and those three aspects that you just broke down for us is wisdom, right?
Yeah, the light.
It's and part of what I do as a therapist, I help people develop that wisdom to face life's challenges with resilience, to help them through those tough times when we don't have the acceptance to the suffering or the pain or the challenges in our life. That developing that wisdom and during whatever challenge or tough aspect that's going in their life, or, I'll leave it at that, leads to resilience.
Yeah, that's a good thing about life, that's also a good thing about being in recovery and people who are sober. Like, that's also where I draw the energy from, and the resilience that you're talking about is that whenever somebody goes through something difficult, and if that person has some principles that he or she can rely on, and then if he gets through that to the other side without losing the values and the integrity and sobriety, whatever you're staying sober with, you come up stronger on the other side. But the best news is that you can use this tool again. It's like a muscle that is being built, for the next time, and you're all set. For me, it's like a very self-motivating and reassuring thing to have that set of tools or set of things that have worked for you before, and you go back to it, and that's a concept in my personal life. It's that concept of refuge, in Buddhism. That is a safe place that I always go back to every time life gets difficult, and it always gives me what it has already given in the past, like that safety, protection, guidance, light.
And I want to go back to something we touched on 3 or 4 topics ago. The core principle of Vipassana is insight. And to me, that principle is to observe the mind and the world with clarity and insight, ultimately leading to hopefully a deeper understanding of reality and hopefully less mental suffering as a result.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This wisdom thing sounds good.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing too, which is probably a sidetrack because this is probably specific to Buddhism too. But for me, I got gifted, or I got the opportunity of studying in the U.S. and Western education and stuff, and that idea of critical thinking, which was kind of attracting for me, especially growing up in a military dictatorship country. Critical thinking is something very foreign. But I think when it comes to wisdom too, I guess that's also therapy and like accountability, fellowship. These things works too. Is that the best way to develop wisdom is also asking the right question. Like, I mean, we have Google. Google can answer any questions, but like there is also very something valuable about asking the right question. I think developing wisdom too can be more effective if we have that intuition or the right set of tools to ask the right question for a specific situation. So I wanted to bring that up too, which is not related to Buddhism entirely, but that's something that has been very helpful in my own personal life whenever I go through challenges.
For some reason, that triggered a recurring memory for me as a therapist with many clients over the years, specifically those struggling with substance use. And they often asked a critical thinking question, and they really wanted to know the answer. And they asked the question, and I gave them a perspective, maybe even an answer to their question, but it didn't quite give them the solution they were looking for. And they were almost even more dumbfounded or didn't quite understand. And there were many times where I've been there, whether it's because of addiction, because of life happenings, because of emotions, because of development, where I often ask critical thinking questions and I didn't have the wisdom and find the answer at that moment. And every once in a while in my life, in my clients' lives, and I've noticed this is, I think, just a part of growth, that sometimes when we seek those questions and we seek wisdom and we don't get the answer, as a therapist, I've said this before, and I'm sure it's made every one of my clients angry or frustrated. I said, it's right where you're supposed to be. And that's annoying and it's frustrating. And even when we're asking these questions and we're seeking this wisdom and we don't have that, you know what? Sometimes that's exactly where we're supposed to be in this journey called life and enlightenment and seeking clarity. sometimes is we don't know yet, and that's okay too.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing that up. I'm also laughing a little bit too, because there's a plot twist, right? Like, it's about asking the right question, but it's not about the answer, because life is a question mark. But if I ask a really effective right question, my life become meaningful, purposeful. And I don't even need to know the answer. That there's something very subtle truth to that asking the right question. But then chances are that if I'm not in a spiritual place, after I've asked a question, I already know the answer, and I'm looking for the answer that fits my answer. That's a very limited way of living life. But the true way, or the healthier and more spiritual way, is to ask the question and then wait and stay open-minded about it, which is also what you're saying.
Yeah. And true wisdom transcends language and concepts. True wisdom is beyond words. Sometimes it takes direct experience and meditation and contemplation and patience and sitting and action. There's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he has a place. It's the center of action and contemplation, meaning there's a time to contemplate and there's a time to take action. And sometimes when we want to take action, we're supposed to be contemplating, and vice versa. But yeah, and a lot of this wisdom and this reality comes through our experiential moments and the profound insight that transcends language, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any more thoughts? Because I'm looking at that Burmese textbook that my aunt gave me, and I opened up that part of wisdom, and then there's a section that is talking about 3 kinds of wisdom, which are in Pali, in what I'm looking at, but also it's translated into Burmese as well. And if that's useful, we can unpack that a little bit too.
Give
if there are any things
Give it to us.
that is actionable. So it says there are 3 kinds of wisdom. The first one in Pali, I'm just going to pronounce it based on that Burmese transcription. It says Sindamaya Pinya. That's the first one, which is translated as, it is a wisdom that is gained through one's own intelligence, one's own thinking, like an intellect, wisdom gained from that. And then the second one is Tutta Maya Pinya, which is translated as wisdom gained through listening to the wise, or learning from other people, or knowledge, collective knowledge that's been recorded from before, of the old ages. And then the third one is Bhavana Maya Pinya, which is to do with development, or through contemplation, through meditation, through cultivation, practicing, a wisdom gained through practicing. So
that sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Can you translate that whole book for us now? No.
Yeah, I should. It would be a tough order, though.
No, I think the only thing that jumps to my mind is compassion with wisdom. And wisdom and compassion are intertwined, or could be, or should be. I help clients cultivate self-compassion and empathy towards themselves and others. And the interplay of wisdom and compassion is just important, because it's not linear. It's not a linear journey. It's not a linear action equal wisdom or sitting still equals insight. It's a journey, and having that compassion and empathy for ourselves through this journey to gain that insight and wisdom is pretty important.
Yeah, that just sparked something because in the title, therapist, Buddhist, and you. So I'm a Buddhist, and there are things that kind of inspires me and excites me, is that since you're talking about wisdom and compassion, is that I don't know if people already know this or if these are written anywhere, but from my knowledge, from my culture, what I've learned is that there has been many Buddhas in the past. I think there is, like, historically, I don't even know how they record it, but because there are like different eons and eons ago, there are different many Buddhas, and there are 7 of them. And then our last, the most recent Buddha is the Gautama Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama. And he is the one who gained enlightenment through wisdom. He's an intellectual. He thinks, for noble truth. So that's one way of. But then at the end too, after gaining wisdom, like his heart flows with compassion because it's just like a natural unfolding of an enlightened heart, although it was gained through wisdom. But the prophecy is that there will be a future Buddha, and then that will be the end of this. I guess they call it kappa, which is this eon, and then the world will disappear, and then another world will appear. So the final Buddha is going to gain enlightenment through compassion. So that's a prophecy that the last one was intellectual wisdom based, but the next one is going to be compassion based. And the name for that Buddha is I forgot. Arimitya. Maitreya, which comes from that metta, loving kindness. Arimitya is the one who has perfected the practice of loving kindness. So I wanted to share that little side note.
That's beautiful. I think that's an awesome place to end right there. What do you think?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Well, thanks, though. This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all for listening too.
And in this enlightening episode, I wanted to throw that word in there, we embarked on a profound exploration of, we called it Buddhist wisdom, but let's just call it wisdom, or piña, for both spiritual and therapeutic perspectives. We discovered that wisdom in the context of Buddhism goes far beyond mere knowledge. It's about understanding the nature of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And here's the key. This understanding is a powerful catalyst for positive change. From a therapist's viewpoint, we've seen how Buddhist wisdom aligns with the goals of therapy. It encourages self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience. It offers a fresh lens through which clients can view their challenges and provides a path to lasting transformation. Our takeaway from this journey is that wisdom is not confined to any one tradition or practice. It's a universal concept that can benefit us all. Whether you're on a spiritual quest or seeking personal growth, the wisdom of Buddhism offers valuable insights. So, as you go about your day, remember to cultivate wisdom in your own life. Embrace self-awareness, practice mindfulness, and approach challenges with the understanding that they too shall pass. Wisdom in its various forms is a beacon of light guiding us towards a more fulfilling and compassionate existence. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening path, and until next time, may wisdom be your constant companion on your journey. My name is Luke.
And this is Zaw.
See you next time.
See you next time.